Welcome back. The leading contenders to be the next Prime Minister of Britain are voicing strong disagreements over the urgency of starting negotiations to leave the EU. Meanwhile, a new survey shows deep frustration over the verdict of the British referendum. James Aiken reports.
Of the 5 candidates to succeed David Cameron as British Prime Minister, 2 of the leading contenders are differing sharply on how quickly to trigger Brexit talks with the EU. The frontrunner is Home Secretary Theresa May, who campaigned for the Remain vote. She says the UK needs to have a clear negotiating position and that she will not be rushed into starting the formal exit process this year. Junior Energy Minister Andrea Leadsom from the Leave camp, who has emerged as a strong rival to May, said yesterday she would start the negotiating process quickly, but she has not indicated a timeline. Leadsom and Justice Secretary Michael Gove argue the next leader should come from the winning Leave side of the referendum. Meanwhile, a new survey from the London School of Economics and Political Science reveals emotions have been running high since the referendum. When asked about what they will miss about leaving the EU, 78% of Remain supporters said they will miss the right to live anywhere in the EU and miss the sense of being part of the European community. 32% of adults said they cried or felt like crying when the results were announced. But that figure rose to 47% of people between the ages of 18 and 24. 67% of young people between the ages of 18 and 39 said they felt angry towards people who voted opposite of what they did. Meanwhile, former Prime Minister Tony Blair says Britain should keep its options open.
The most important thing right now is you've got a situation where, okay, it's clear there was a vote to leave, but it wasn't 70-30 or 60-40, it was 52-48. One of the reasons why we should keep our options open is, yes, the referendum expressed the will of the people, but, the will of the people is entitled to change.
The field of 5 candidates to replace Cameron will be whittled down to 2 by the party's lawmakers over the summer. Party members will pick the winner by September 9th. James Aiken, TVB News.
China will hold week-long military drills around disputed islands in the South China Sea starting tomorrow. The announcement comes ahead of an international court ruling on its sweeping claims in the region. China is boycotting the case before the Hague-based Permanent Court of Arbitration, in which the Philippines is challenging the validity of the 9-dash line. Beijing is trying to use the 9-dash line to demarcate its territorial claims to most of the South China Sea. The court is expected to announce its ruling on July 12th. China regularly holds military exercises in the South China Sea. The drills will run from eastern Hainan and encompass the Paracel Islands. The Maritime Safety Administration says other ships are prohibited from entering those waters during that time. The Paracels are also claimed by Vietnam and Taiwan.
The wives of 6 detained human rights lawyers held a demonstration today outside the Supreme People's Procuratorate in Beijing. They protested against the arrests of their husbands by mainland authorities a year ago. They tried to hand over to the authorities clothes bearing their husbands' names and words of encouragement, but were rejected. Families of other human rights activists were also there to show their support. Beijing launched a nationwide crackdown on human rights lawyers last July. They were accused of upsetting social order or inciting subversion of state power. Media tycoon Ricky Wong announced today that he will run in September's Legislative Council election. Speaking to the media, the chairman of Hong Kong Television Network said he will compete in the Hong Kong Island geographical constituency. Wong reiterated his goal is to prevent Leung Chun-ying from getting a second term as chief executive of the SAR, and he hopes that at least 35 LegCo members elected will have the same stance as him.
Part of Austin Road in Chim Sa Choi caved in today. This after a saltwater pipe burst in the early hours. Traffic flow was affected on a section of that road. Water Supply's department staff turned off saltwater supply as emergency repair work was carried out. Hey, Chris, what do you have for us today?
Well, They're getting right down to it finally in some football. There will be a break in football this year, but not before this is done. France proved too strong for Iceland, whose dream run at Euro 2016 came to an end in the quarterfinals last night. As Tony Sabine reports, the French can look forward to a semi-final clash with their European rivals, Germany.